Hi everyone, I'm Colleen and I'm back for another live stream brought to you by Princess Dental Staffing. So happy everyone could be here with me today. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful week and an awesome Wednesday. So each week we're bringing you another live stream that covers topics about starting or maintaining your career in the dental industry. So just some tips, tricks, and kind of insights into a dental career. So if you like the content that we're bringing you weekly, make sure that you like our video. And of course, if you have any questions, be sure to comment them below. If I get the questions during the video, I'll go ahead and answer them while we're streaming. But if not, then we will circle back to that and we'll go ahead and answer your question as soon as possible. Hi, Ralph. So each week we're bringing you a new topic, and if you don't want to miss out on future streams, be sure to like our page or subscribe to our channel. And if you want more information on the dental industry and career tips and advice, be sure to head to princessdentalstaffing.com, where you can find Princess Dental Staffing's blog. It's also super, super easy to create a profile and look for jobs. Sign up and create a profile and look for jobs, okay? So today's topic that we're going to be going over is preparing a dental hygienist resume. Okay, so we're going to be talking about preparing your resume for a dental hygienist position, some of the things to include, and and different items like that, and just some general tips and tricks on writing your resume for a dental hygienist position. Okay, so let's start off by talking about a dental hygienist. Just basically kind of a brief, broad overview of what they do, what the responsibilities are, and what kind of tasks they do in a typical day. Okay, so first let's talk about preventative oral care and dental treatments. Okay, so dental hygienists do a lot with preventative oral care and supporting dental treatments. Okay, so they clean and floss their patients' teeth. They also remove plaque, stains, and tartar from teeth as well. Okay. They also apply sealants and fluoride to teeth to help protect them, and they can take and develop x-rays. They can also administer local anesthetics to patients during specific treatments, okay? So that's a little bit about, how they help prevent, oral diseases and how they help keep your mouth healthy. When it comes to administrative tasks and kind of working with patients, they can do things such as, communicating with patients about oral health and overall health for documentation purposes, making sure that they're updating their patient files, examining the current oral health of each patient to communicate any updates to the dentist, okay, making sure that the dentist is aware of any changes with the patient in their oral health or overall health. Okay, and educating patients on good oral hygiene practices and how to properly brush and floss their teeth on their own to make sure that every day those patients are keeping up with their oral health and, just staying healthy and well. Okay, so this is kind of just a very brief, broad overview of what dental hygienists do. Of course, there's a lot more that goes into it, but it's just a very kind of, like I said, broad overview of, what their jobs entail. Okay. So let's talk about some of the parts of the resume that you want to include. Firstly, make sure you include a section for your certifications and licenses. Okay. Now when it comes to, dental hygienist certifications and licenses, each state is going to be a little bit different. Okay. So they're going to have, different things that are required of a dental hygienist, depending on the state you're in. So, make sure that you check out, you just go online and Google, what are your state's requirements for dental hygienist certifications and licenses. Make sure you get all those and make sure that you put them on your resume. Okay. Just to, if you have previous experience as a dental hygienist, it's a pretty good bet that you have these licenses and certifications. And I've gotten this argument several times, well, if I've worked as one, wouldn't they already know that I have one? And the answer is, yeah, probably. But, you just want to make sure that you put them on there anyway, just so the potential new employer has all the information that they need and they don't kind of have to go searching for all of that information. Okay, so make sure you put your licenses and your certifications on your resume, okay, in their own section, in their own space, okay? Okay. You can also include information about specific trainings you've had or specific programs you completed. Also make sure that you include your education as well, of course. So normally a dental hygienist is going to need at least an associate's, sometimes a bachelor's, mostly an associate's, I think, and, but sometimes they have a bachelor's as well. Make sure that you put that on your resume as well, okay? Anything really that you've done to help professionally develop yourself, always a great thing to put on a resume, okay? It really shows not only that you have the required knowledge in order to do the job well, but it also shows, especially if you've done a little bit on your own professional development, it shows that you are self-motivated, okay? So let's talk about a skills section. Now, I've said in previous videos that, in previous streams that, a skills section is not a required part of your resume, but I always recommend it, especially for positions that have a technical aspect to them, which dental hygienists does, absolutely. Okay, and then when it comes to your skills section, what skills do you include? Hard skills, soft skills, what do you include? And I always say, make sure that you look at the job that you're applying for and see kind of, is it more hard skill heavy? Is it more soft skill heavy? Or is it kind of a balance of both? Okay. And, kind of let that help dictate the skills that you put in to your skill section. Okay. So, for a dental hygienist, you definitely need those hard skills, right? Because it's a technical position, but you also need those soft skills because you're working, with dentists, you're working with your patients, you're having to use a lot of those soft skills as well. So I think a good combination of both can really fit on your resume very nicely and kind of round out your resume very nicely. So let's talk about the difference kind of briefly. So a hard skill is like a technical skill, okay? It's a skill that is normally taught and is trainable and is normally easily testable, okay? They can give you like a test for it and measure how well you have knowledge or how much knowledge you have about something or how well you can demonstrate the skill. Soft skills, on the other hand, tend to be a little bit more personality based. They're a little bit harder to test and quantify, okay? They, like I said, they tend to be part of your personality, okay? Real quick, just going to answer some of these questions here. Having a section for certifications and licenses is a great idea. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a great way to kind of break up your resume and make it a little bit more easily readable, okay, to have it kind of in their separate section. How many skills should we include on a resume? That's a great question, Taylor. It really kind of depends on how much room you have on your resume, okay? And the other thing it depends on is, so as a general number, I normally say between 10 and 20. But like I said, what's really going to help determine that is how much room you have and how much, how much information you need to include based on like maybe some of the job descriptions. Okay. You want to make sure that you catch all the necessary skills and make sure that you list all of those so that the potential employers know that you possess these skills, that you have experience in these areas, and that you can easily demonstrate them and use them in your job. So it's really just going to depend on several different factors, but I normally shoot for between 10 and 20-ish, okay? Okay, so let's talk about some of the hard skills that you want to include. So just as an example, let's talk about conducting oral hygiene procedures. Okay, that's a hard skill. Okay, taking and processing X-rays, right? So that's demonstratable, right? You can go and you can actually do it and demonstrate that you can do it. So easily testable, right? It's a hard skill. Patient healthcare record management. Okay, pretty much anything using documentation or using the computer, like, applications and certain systems and things like that. Those are all going to be your hard technical skills, right? Because they're easily demonstratable. You can easily illustrate them. You can easily test them. Okay. So those are going to be all your hard skills. And those are all some really, really great examples of skills that you can include on your dental hygienist resume. Okay. So let's talk about some soft skills, okay? Some good ones to include are communication, teamwork, and precision, right? So communication, because again, communication, interpersonal skills, right? Because, you've got to work with patients, all kinds of different patients, with your coworkers and with your dentists, right? So communication definitely necessary, and communication is definitely a soft skill because it's something, again, it's not something that's easily testable. There's more than one way to communicate with somebody effectively, but as long as you're doing it effectively, that's definitely a skill, and it's definitely a great thing to include on a dental hygienist resume. Teamwork, obviously, teamwork makes the dream work. I know it's a little cliche, but it's real. It's true. So having those teamwork capabilities and being able to collaborate and cooperate with your team members means, better and more efficient operations for the office. So it's definitely a great thing to include on your resume. And precision, of course, you're working with a lot of these like smaller tools in a small area, right? Precision, definitely a great thing to include on your resume. So those are just some examples of hard and soft skills that you can include in your skills section, okay? So professional objective, sometimes also called a professional summary. So basically, that's normally going to be one of the first things that you see on the resume, okay? So when it comes to a professional objective, professional summary, you don't want it to be much more. It's normally in paragraph format, and you really don't want it to be much more than 4 sentences, okay? The whole point of a professional objective is to kind of give a very brief, broad overview of your knowledge, skills, abilities, and accomplishments, okay? What you bring to the table, okay? It's an elevator pitch, okay? It's a very brief, broad advertisement for you and your skills and just illustrating what you bring to the table, okay? So that's why we want to kind of keep it to about 4 sentences, okay? No more than that. I would say at least 3 though, definitely, okay? So basically, when you're thinking about drafting, a professional objective, you want it to answer the question, why should this person hire you? Okay, that's kind of the idea though. Okay, why should this person hire you? Why are you the best candidate for this open position? Okay, that's the question you want to clearly answer in your professional objective. Okay, and again, very brief, very concise. Make sure you pack it with full of your accomplishments and your skills. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about experience, right? That's going to be the bulk. That's normally going to be the bulk of your resume, right? The experience section. So basically, you want to have all of your relevant experience in there, right? Your direct or related experience. So if you haven't always been in the dental industry, if you haven't always been a dental hygienist, you want to make sure that you are including the most relevant information first, okay? So when someone's reading your resume, okay, they're going to read it from top down, okay? So you want to make sure you grab their attention with the most relevant information first. So if you have other experience that is not dental hygienist or not related to the dental industry, you can always list that in a separate section. So for example, let's say I was a dental hygienist, but before that I worked at Walgreens or something like that. Okay. So let's say you definitely want to put, dental hygienist and talk about that position. And then underneath that, you can put other experience and list my, current Walgreens position. Okay. It doesn't matter if it's your most recent position. You can always list it last. Okay. Just to make sure that your resume is organized in such a way so that the most relevant experience, the most demonstratable experience is, or information is up top. Okay. So let's talk about, how we list our relevant experience, okay? So be clear and direct when you're talking about the responsibilities and the tasks that you were entrusted with in this position, okay? And then for each position, you want to include approximately 5 bullets that explain your role and explain your accomplishments and what you did, okay? So let's talk a little bit first about accomplishment statements, okay? So accomplishment statements are the thing that help you stand out from the stack, okay? So an accomplishment statement has 2 main elements, an action and then a direct result of the action that you took, okay? So when we talk about action, we talk about action verbs. When we talk about results, we talk about really potentially anything. So just some examples might be, a result might be how you improved the patient experience. It might be how you saved the office money. It might be how you streamlined a process and saved the office time, or things of this nature, okay? So those are some potential results. And it's not just results is not just like a little narrow field. There are definitely tons and tons of results that you can use, but you want to make sure that the results that you are listing in your accomplishment statements clearly illustrate, how you made the office better. Okay. Essentially, that's what a result is, how you made something better. Okay. Make sure you include specific tools, instruments, and software that you've used in your work experience. You can also list them separately if you want to. You can also have like a technical skill section and say, I have experience with these types of software or applications and these tools and those sorts of things. But you can also list them in your work experience as well. Okay. And then, of course, always include the dates that you were in each position, okay? At the very least, years, okay? So from, whatever, 2018 to present or something like that, okay? But if you can do month and year, that's great too, okay? And if you've ever had experience in a research-related position, you can always list research separately as well, okay? So you can list that in a separate section, okay? In its own section. Okay, so question here, is it better to explain what we did in our previous jobs in bullet points or in sentences? So that's going to be a personal preference, however you feel it looks best on your resume. Me personally, normally what I do is I start by doing like a short paragraph, maybe 3 sentences that give a very brief, broad overview of your responsibilities and your job duties, and then underneath that, some about 5 bulleted statements of accomplishment statements. Okay, which accomplishment statements, again, since we're listing that action, you're also sort of listing as well, your job duties as well. You're just kind of attaching them to a result, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's a great question. Okay. So yeah, so that's your relevant experience. Okay, so a little bit about your relevant experience. Other things that you can include in your resume. Firstly, your contact information. Okay, and you'd be surprised how many people just kind of overlook their contact information. They're not like updating it, or they've mistyped it. Their phone number has an extra digit or something like that. Make sure you've got your contact information correct, written correctly on your resume. LinkedIn profiles as well. Make sure the link that if you have a LinkedIn profile or like a website or other, professional social media that you want to include on your resume, make sure the link is correct. And if you have a hyperlink, make sure it directs to the correct place. Okay. A lot of people really do overlook that, and it's detrimental because, if you don't have your contact information on there, how are they going to contact you, right? How are you going to get these callbacks? So, make sure that you've got that taken care of and squared away. Some other sections you can include are, an awards or recognition section, awards and accolades. So if you ever gotten like Employee of the Month award or Employee of the Year award or things of that nature, you can list those in a separate section. You can also list them in your work experience as well if you want to. Again, that's a personal choice. But I normally recommend, if you have at least 2, to go ahead and list them in a separate section. That way you free up a little bit more room to talk about more stuff, more cool things that you accomplished and that you did in your relevant work history. Okay. But that's just kind of my recommendation. Okay. And then we talked about skills section. We talked about education as well. You can combine your education, certifications, and licenses section if you want to. I normally recommend, if you have more than one entry, go ahead and separate them. Okay. So you can have an education, and then with your training and certifications and licenses, that's normally how I do it, but completely up to you. Okay. So those are the different sections of the resume and things that you need, or you can include and probably should include in your dental hygienist resume. Such good advice. Thanks, Ralph. So those are the different parts. So again, if you have any questions or, want any clarification on anything that we went over today, be sure to leave it in the comments below. Okay. Got a question. Which include the best hours to reach you. I hear a lot of frustration from employers when they call and can't get a hold of a candidate. I might list that in the cover letter, Ralph. I normally list that in the cover letter. Like if my hours are limited, if I'm unemployed right now and I'm looking for a position, I might not include that at all because, my job right now is to find a job. You know what I mean? So for something, if it doesn't really matter and you have pretty open availability, then I don't see a reason why you should include your hours. But if you are currently working right now and you can't be reached all hours of the day, then yeah, absolutely make sure that you include your hours of availability. And you can do that in a cover letter. You can also do it. Yeah, you can also do it in a resume as well. Maybe right next to your phone number. Parentheses, best times to reach, Mondays after 2:30 or something like that. Okay. The other option too is, make sure that you're constantly checking your email. And if if a potential employer reaches out to you to, set up a time to talk, respond back and say, hey, yeah, I would love to talk to you. You'd be surprised how many times I send an email out to, to a client and they're like, yeah, I'd love to talk to you. And that's all they said. Okay, great. When can I call you? So make sure, yeah, absolutely. Make sure that you include that information so they know, when to get a hold of you. Awesome. It's a good idea to include the cover letter. Yeah. So I normally add it in like the last paragraph or something like that. But yes, that information, if you have limited hours that you can be reached, make sure that information is somewhere, so they know when to call you. Okay. And make sure you're checking your email as well. Make sure you're checking your email. Okay. Okay. So that is everything that I wanted to go over with everyone today. So again, if you have questions, be sure to list them below and we'll get back to them as soon as possible. But thanks for spending some time with me today, everyone. And if you weren't able to see this live, so glad you got to see it later. We will be back next week with a new topic. I hope you have an awesome, awesome week. Thanks, Colleen. You're awesome. No, you're awesome, sir. And thank you. But we will be back next week with a new topic, and I hope to see you then. In the meantime, check out princessdentalstaffing.com if you want to check out their blog or create a profile. Thanks for being here with me today, everyone. Have a great week. See you soon. Bye.